The reason for the confusion is we usually have somebody telling us how many minutes we have until the meeting is live, and we just don't have that person here right now. So, that's it, we're going live. So, welcome everyone. Good evening. Thank you for being here, to those in person and also for those who are watching us live streaming. I will now ask our board secretary to take a roll and establish a quorum.
Thank you. President Craighead?
Here.
Member Benitez?
Excuse me, here, Leticia.
Member Miller?
Here.
Member Otto?
Here.
And Student Member Aguilar?
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. And now I would like to ask our... Okay. So should we wait to do the pledge, or should we do the pledge with the... We'll just do the pledge. Join me in doing the pledge. Let's everybody stand.
Which pledge is it?
Of allegiance. Right hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
Play ball.
Yeah. For those of you present in the room, the board appreciates and supports community input at our meetings. During the meeting, there will be time for the public to comment on matters on the agenda and matters not on the agenda. For those who have not already submitted a request, we have forms over here. You can get them from the board secretary if you wish to speak. The board has been meeting in closed session regarding matters listed on today's agenda. The board took action on the following items. Item 3.1, the board voted 4-0 with Ms. Lopez absent to expel student ID number 8025 in compliance with Education Code Section 48915C3. The student is recommended to be considered for a suspended expulsion with an opportunity to attend another school within the district. The student will be eligible to apply for readmission after the end of the fall semester of the 2024-25 school year. In item 3.2, the board voted 4-0 with Ms. Lopez absent to approve a settlement agreement in the case listed on the agenda. Regarding item 3.3, the board voted to dismiss one employee and to suspend one employee by a 4-0 vote with Ms. Lopez absent. And in item 3.4, the board voted 4-0 with Ms. Lopez absent to approve the appointments of Norma Spencer as the director of the Center for Black Student Excellence and Jennifer Rodarte as the director of Student Support Services. For more information regarding the director for the Center for Black Student Excellence, I will now turn it over to Dr. Brown.
Thank you so much, President Craighead. Thank you, board, and thank you to those who are here this evening. I'm grateful to welcome Ms. Norma Spencer to our school district. Ms. Spencer comes to us with over 20 years of experience in Los Angeles Unified School District, where she served as a principal and a principal supervisor, and most recently has been the administrator for the Black Student Achievement work that has included the supervision of about 24 staff. I wanted to highlight that this position marks a very exciting next step for Long Beach Unified as we appoint the first director for our Center for Black Student Excellence. The idea of a Center of Black Student Excellence has come through several years of listening and planning and activating a strategic planning process and moving on the call to action from our community. And so I just want to highlight a few things that we've been working on and that we are working towards. For the last few years, we've really been on a forward path in many activities, and we've been living into the practice of Sankofa, or the idea of going back to fetch the lessons of the past in order to move forward. And I want to highlight a few of the activities. There are many, but a few things just feel extremely poignant and important to mention as we take these next steps. So in terms of activities that we have been leading into and leaning into, I want to highlight the way that we have really focused to openly share and own the brutal facts in the data about the experience that Black children have had and are having in our system. The idea of creating a Black Student Achievement Initiative and a host of both celebrations and engagement events to lift and celebrate the cultural assets of Black students in our community. A specific thank you to Dr. Taylor Stewart, now Dr. Taylor Stewart, in leading that work for us. The centering of Black students and our excellence and equity policy, which has become a pillar of so much of the work that we are building upon right now. The creation of Sankofa Summer Academy and Sankofa Parent Village, and I want to acknowledge Dr. Pam Lovett and a whole team that have created these experiences. There's more to highlight, and there's a whole lot more to do, but my intention in sharing those items is really to reflect that the idea for the Center of Black Student Excellence is not a good idea that just came to us. It is now the right idea in years of work that we have been leading into and really working for alongside our community. So the Center of Black Student Excellence is being co-created and will continue to be co-created with our community, for the Black community, and furthermore for our whole Long Beach community, We're in a space of co-creation with the community and to continue in the development of the center. And as our new leader comes in, she will be continuing that engagement and the collaborative work that has begun to help the idea of the center move into a space of reality as we go forward. So more details to come. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to both acknowledge Ms. Norma Spencer, welcome her to Long Beach. She's not here this evening, she's traveling, and also to highlight some beginning ideas around the Center of Black Student Excellence. So thank you.
Thank you. And we welcome her aboard, and it'll be wonderful to meet her in person one day soon, I hope. Okay, let's see. Adoption of the agenda. And before we adopt the agenda, I'll just mention that item 8.1 is really 3.4 on the closed session agenda, part of that agenda. So when we vote on the agenda, there's no 8.1. I'm just making a note of that. Okay, so we need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? I'll ask our board secretary to take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Member Otto?
Yes.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
Member Miller?
Aye.
Student Member Aguilar preferential vote?
Aye.
Thank you. That passes 4-0.
Thank you. And next, I'd like to introduce Kylie Charles from Renaissance as our student representative this evening. Welcome, Kylie.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Kylie Lynn Charles. I first want to say that it is a privilege to be speaking to you in front today. I am the Associated Student Body Representative and a student from the Performing Arts Theater Strand at Renaissance. I also serve as the improv team captain and am currently slated to serve as president of Advanced Drama Club next school year. I have served ASB this year and will continue to my service as I am currently campaigning for ASB secretary. Thank you all for your service to the community and the schools, and I hope you enjoy hearing a bit of what Renaissance has been up to since we last spoke. We have been busy at Renaissance with events nearly every day. We started by paying homage to Fame the Musical, which was the first musical performed 20 years ago when the school was open, to kick off the RHSA 20th anniversary. This led to our open house theme of decades, where artists around the campus would pick an era between the 1920s to 2000s and incorporate their pathway into their craft. At this open house, the second zine, our student-run magazine, was released. It showcased students' artworks, creative writing, and modeling based on different music genres. The zine was also in collaboration with the Long Beach Clothing Company. This year, performing arts students also hosted and led a middle school arts workshop. This was a free event and allowed incoming students to explore and grow within their art craft prior to attending Renaissance in the fall or the upcoming years. The weekend after, our parent organization, PARTS, Parents for the Arts, hosted the second annual Battle of the Bands at D Piazza's. This event featured 10 student-led rock bands who all competed for a grand prize of $1,000. PARTS also hosted a silent auction at this event. This event was extremely successful, and they are planning to expand this event to a larger venue next year. Simultaneously, ASB was hard at work to plan our multi-school winter formal on Saturday, February 10th. The theme was Casino Night, and we danced the night away with multiple schools, including CAMS, Sato, McBride, Brown, Reed, and EPHS. We're also looking forward to our prom this Saturday, which is under the sea themed. I wanted to take a moment to highlight and congratulate our RHSA 2024 Prom King and Queen, James Sindo and Violet Hamilton. James and Violet are current seniors. James is attending NYU on a scholarship majoring in music technology, and Violet is attending the University of Oregon for theater arts. We are thrilled they are representing our school at this 2024 prom. Our Black Student Union kicked off Black History Month with the first ever Taste of Soul Black History celebration. This event included soul food, live music, a Corvette car show, and local African American vendors. Before we sadly said goodbye for spring break, we had our annual Lunch with a Loved One event. This is open to students and their families to come and enjoy an extended lunch. You could buy food from our lovely clubs or the Roll 'em Up taquito truck in the front of the school, all while taking in the lovely jazz thanks to the Long Beach Blues Society. You could go pick up 2 free books thanks to the book truck, who provided hundreds of free books to our Phoenixes. At the end of the event, we had our second Pie in the Face competition. Mr. Bazer, our Dean of Students, and Mr. Tran, our English and film teacher, got a face full of whipped cream thrown at them by 2 lucky Renaissance students. Coming back from spring break, the dance department was hard at work rehearsing for the student dance concert performed on Cabrillo High School stage. Our theater department was also busy performing 2 improv shows and our annual straight play. This year was A Midsummer Night's Dream. I played a minor role in Midsummer as Aegeus, the lover Hermia's mean and overbearing mother. WASC visited us soon after. A few selected students, myself included, were chosen to have lunch with them and talk about our favorite parts of Renaissance. The Fame cast came back together to perform Hot Lunch as a flash mob. Our WASC results were effective and highly effective in all categories. We also celebrated Rome Lopez, who was voted as Renaissance Most Inspiring Student this year. Congratulations, Rome. I mentioned our film teacher earlier, Mr. Tran. He recently hosted our second annual Leon Browsted the 4th Film Festival. This year's theme was survival, and 5 groups of film students showed off their wonderful short films. While this event was happening, we also had many recitals, including the steel drum, guitar, jazz band, orchestra, advanced drama, and choral concerts. Visual arts students also had the opportunity to submit their work to LBCC to take part in the Hand in Hand art collection on their campus. The fashion students have been working hard preparing for the fashion show next Friday. To go along with our 20th anniversary, the fashion show theme is decades. The students are making 1 or 2 handmade looks based on specific decades they were given, and other students are modeling the pieces. I will be modeling for one of my closest friends, Samara Ford. These students also had the opportunity to attend a Mercedes-Benz fashion show this past Friday. We have so many more events just around the corner. We're having our very first Renaissance Coachella, dubbed Renchella. our own student-led bands, who some participated in and won Battle of the Bands, will be partaking in 10-minute sets on the amphitheater stage. The whole event is free. We have snow cones, catered Cane's chicken fingers, and lots of fun activities. Decision Day will also be taking place after the bands are done, where we will honor our seniors. And the improv team will be partaking in the annual improv competition against Lakewood, Poly, Wilson, and Milliken at Poly High School on June 7th. Renaissance's last event on school grounds is our Art and Senior Awards, happening June 10th, where we honor our most outstanding students. While the end of the year is exciting, we are already prepared for our lovely seniors to move on to their next plans. Our grad night at Universal Studios on June 7th kicks off our yearly senior week. During this week, seniors will enjoy a picnic, a staff versus student kickball game, a trip to medieval times, and of course, graduation on June 13th at Long Beach City College. We miss them already. Of course, the art never stops at Renaissance High. We are excited to announce Renaissance is once again partnering with Long Beach Walls. Long Beach Walls is a week-long citywide event that takes place in the summer throughout Long Beach. By the end of the week, Renaissance will have 3 brand new murals for students to enjoy by the time school begins in the fall. Finally, ASB will be hard at work over the summer preparing for our freshman orientation, Camp Phoenix. Once again, thank you for your time and dedication to all the schools. It has been a pleasure to share all the great things happening at Renaissance High School. Thank you.
Kylie, I think we're going to ask you to stay around to the end of the meeting, and then you can give all our reports, because that was that was much more enjoyable than what we do.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
I'm kind of kidding. Are there people here that you'd like to acknowledge?
Yes, our principal, Mr. Navia, my ASB teacher, Miss VC, and my nonna and papa.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been great hearing about all of the things happening at Renaissance. And, well, you can stay with us. Well, why don't you stay until after our videos, and then if you want to leave, you can, because I know it's a school night. So, sorry? Pictures? I knew I was missing something. Yes, if you could come up here, we're going to do a picture.
Right now? Okay.
Yeah. Retirees next, so just one great thing after another. So we have the honor and pleasure of recognizing 3 retirees this evening. So as we call you up, come up to the podium. We have a few nice things to say, and then we'll ask you to come around, we'll shake hands, and then you'll have a moment at the podium. And so, Mr. Otto, we'll start with you.
Could we have Kurt Howell come to the podium, please? Hello. Welcome. Mr. Howell is retiring as a history teacher at Hughes Middle School after 38 years of service to the Long Beach Unified School District. He is praised by everyone for being an exceptional educator who actively engages all students in their learning process and adjusts his instruction to meet diverse needs and training that all students go through. He also is praised for fostering a positive and inclusive classroom environment where students are encouraged to practice and apply critical thinking skills. So congratulations on that. I think we have a certificate.
We do, after we do.
Try to do the circle.
Yeah.
Me tonight, and I'm very grateful that my family was able to attend. Two of my sons and two of my daughters-in-law and two of my granddaughters who are both 3 years old, and then one of my grandsons who's just turned 1 very recently. So very gratifying to have them here, and I'm grateful for the recognition. And I became a U.S. history teacher because, number one, I loved the subject matter. I always loved working with young people, and I always liked being on stage. So you put those all together, and being a history teacher was really a great fit for me. I'm grateful for Long Beach Unified for hiring me in the first place. And one of the best things that happened is that I met my wife while teaching, and she was a pretty young PE teacher, and I was the crotchety old history teacher already, you know. But anyway, so I'm grateful for my career and for providing for my family. And once again, I just wish to thank you for this recognition, and I'm grateful for everything that I've been able to do and make some lifelong friends along the way. Thank you.
Dr. Benitez.
Mr. Miller and I are just still in awe. How old were you when you started teaching?
I was 23.
Yeah. Well, obviously it kept you looking good and young. You know? Congratulations again. Yeah. It's my honor and privilege to call up Griselda Mesa. Is it Alani or Ajani? Alani? Please come forward.
It would be Eleni because my husband's from Morocco.
Alani? Okay.
Eleni.
Thank you. 35 years of service to the students and families in our district. Retiring as an intervention and instruction coordinator at Grant Elementary School. We just had an awesome presentation from Grant. So beautiful things going on at Grant Elementary School as well. Praised for being a valuable resource to students, their families, and to her colleagues due to her deep understanding of best practices and content standards, which we just talked about today. Also praised for using assessment data to tailor instruction for students and support for your colleagues in adjusting lessons for diverse needs. Please accept this certificate, which you'll receive right now, for your 35 years of dedicated service to LBUSD and your lasting contribution to the lives of thousands of students. Thank you so much.
me up, right? But I had the privilege of working with many of you at school sites, so thank you for that. President Craighead, members of the Board of Education, Dr. Baker, and executive staff members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to seize this opportunity to speak on behalf of all of our English learners in the Long Beach Unified School District, just as a reminder that you can achieve as many goals as you set for yourself. I don't know why I'm nervous. I get up like twice a month at staff meetings to speak to everybody about everything. I chose to work at schools that mirrored where I grew up. I grew up in neighborhoods like the ones I have taught in. I chose to work downtown, West Side, North Long Beach, at schools like Edison, Garfield, Roosevelt, Lincoln, and Grant. I keep in touch with many of the fabulous educators that I've worked with. We've had long-lasting relationships and friendships, and because of my upbringing, I love working with my students who are new to the country. That's my passion. I love working with my ELs. This has always been my passion, and I was that kindergarten student sitting in that chair, not knowing what to think next or what to do next, but only taking cues from my fellow students by looking at them and trying to figure out what it was I was supposed to do next, because I didn't speak any English as I entered school. I had to look at my peers for cues, try to understand what was being asked of me. I only spoke Spanish at home while learning English at school. My parents did not want my siblings and I to lose our primary language. It was critical to them. And at that point, when I was a child, I didn't understand that, but I fully understand it now. My parents wanted us to be biliterate and maintain our culture ties. You see, my parents were immigrants from Mexico, so they came to the United States for us to have a better life and an education. They were very supportive. They were our #1 fans. We all became educators. I was the youngest, but I became an educator first, and my sisters followed suit. My father taught himself how to read both in English and Spanish. He was kicked out of school because he was one of those kids that misbehaved in school. They booted him out of school in elementary school, and he never finished his education. But he taught himself. He taught himself how to read and write. He knew the history of the United States, Mexico, the world, and we would have many conversations, and this is where I learned history from my father, by just having conversations with him. My mother was a scholar. She was the valedictorian of her class, but she wasn't able to go to colegio or to continue studying because they didn't have any means to do that, so they weren't able to pay for her to go to school. So my mom always pushed us, finish your school, do your work. So that being said, then this is why they made education a priority for us. They understood the importance of it. My parents didn't grow up with generational wealth. Needless to say, my sisters and I did not grow up with the privileges of that generational wealth brings either. I was working on my master's degree in Spanish literature after I graduated with my bachelor's degree. And I was sitting at the student union, I found an ad that was looking for a bilingual teacher's aide. I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can speak 2 languages. So I decided to apply. And I arrived at my interview at Edison Elementary. If you guys know Edison, there's like the high grounds and the low grounds. And that's what we called it when I worked there. And then, so I walked up there, and the assignment center was there at that time. I know I'm dating myself, but the assignment center was there at that time. And they go, oh, you're bilingual? You're here for an interview? Really? You know, and I was like, yeah, but I need to look for Mrs. Bell, Barbara Bell. So they directed me to the office, but they say, hey, if that doesn't work out, come back. We have a job for you. But I didn't. I got the job as a teacher's aide. When I did that, I was quickly hired at Edison Elementary, where I was aide for like about 2.5 years, 2 years. And then shortly after that, I became a substitute teacher. When I started out, there weren't very many bilingual substitute teachers, so I became everybody's bilingual long-term substitute teacher in the district. Even Miriam Garcia, you guys remember her. At that time, we had a transitional bilingual program at Edison Elementary School, except half of our school was bused to the other side of town. So we had a K-3 program at Edison, and then our 4 or 5 students were bused to the east side. And so we would lose touch of the transition in the transitional bilingual program. But I decided to jump into teaching. I worked on my credential, and 2 of my friends, my teachers that became my mentors, Susan Clote and Bia Almada, took Doris Takanuchi out to lunch and convinced her that I needed to go to Edison as a contracted teacher. So by the fall, I was a contracted teacher. They went up to bat for me, and they became my mentors. During 1998, Prop 227, many of you may have remembered that or lived through that. One of the various UNS initiatives, when voters decided to end bilingual education, I was really questioning whether or not I should continue teaching. I think, Dr. Baker, you were my principal at that time. This was a difficult time for bilingual teachers to hear some of my peers as I walked down the hallway whispering, English only, English only, English only. It was kind of heart-wrenching to hear those microaggressions, and it was difficult. But it kind of killed my joy of teaching at the time. I'm newly excited because now we are embracing equity in the district. Some of our students are being afforded the opportunity to enroll in dual immersion programs, despite Prop 227, the English Only initiative. I stuck it out for a few more years, and here I am today. I made it past that Prop 227 hurdle. I'm finished up my 35th year of teaching. But I especially want to thank my coworkers who have had many challenges in teaching today, as you guys know. They deserve everything they bargained for and more. Also, Board Member Lopez, who's not here today, my current school is in your district, and Dr. Benitez for continuing to look out for our students and our teachers. Please keep asking those difficult questions. Thank you to my family, my mother and father, who I lost in 2020, for pushing us into higher education. My older sister Lilia, who also passed in 2008. My sister Maricela, who's also still working with Long Beach Unified School District, and my husband, Lacen, who sees me come home and continue to work on projects and is very understanding, and he understands what I do on a daily basis. In the words of the famous LB Poly alumni, last but not least, I want to thank myself. I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work. I want to thank me for never having no days off. I want to thank me for never quitting, and I want to thank me for always being a giver and trying to give more than I receive. So, brace out.
I think that's our first retiree who's actually quoted Snoop to us.
And that was a popular decision. That was good. Mr. Miller.
All right. I would like to ask Miss Laura Hernandez, please come to the microphone. So today we are celebrating 17 years of service. Is that correct?
Yes, here in Long Beach.
Absolutely. All right, and she'll be retiring as our dual immersion kindergarten teacher at the historic, famous, awesome Lafayette Elementary School.
Hooray! Yes. Okay.
Ms. Hernandez is being praised for creating a safe environment that promotes student learning and encourages constructive and productive interactions among students. Along with that, being a dependable and reliable colleague who goes above and beyond to provide assistance when her colleagues need support. Please accept this certificate for your 17 years of dedicated services to the Long Beach Unified School District and your lasting contributions to the lives of thousands of students. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so it's official, right? Because my colleagues got me. Okay. Well, apart from the 17 years, I have worked a total of 45 years in education. I started in 1980 as a paraprofessional in Southgate, California, Southgate here. And then I went up to the high desert, 10 years there. And then I became a teacher there in LA in Southgate for 9 years. And then I moved up to the high desert 10 years. So I consider myself 45 years since 1980 till now. So I've been blessed. Okay, so good evening, buenas tardes, senior team members and Board of Education members. I'm going to start with a poem, an acrostic poem for family. Faith, amazing, milestones, independence, loving, and finally years. The faith and support from my family inspired the dream of becoming a teacher. Remembering the young moments playing school with my siblings and neighbors, the dedication of spending an amazing time with each other. Many milestones were shared. An important one was when my father joined me in my journey through college and the university. How excited he was for me and how blessed I was to share that moment with him as we both graduated from Cal State University, Los Angeles in 1989. Usually they say father and son. No, this was daughter and father. Okay. The time to show my independence has been in the classroom. I have been able to share my playful spirit with the students. As I teach each class of my peques, little ones, realizing they learned or remembered a moment, especially in the dual immersion program, yes, Lafayette, receiving the thank yous of so many parents for having all their children in the family, I am embraced with the utmost warm fuzzy. This is why I chose to be a teacher. My years of dedication to my second family, my Spanish kindergarten, have spent endless hours over my time working so close with my colleague, Eureka, and knowing I can call her 24/7 has built a solemn relation of family as well as with my sister friends, Heidi, Sandra, Angela, and that we love to be together. The moments we cherish at Lafayette has been a time to be ourselves, to comfort and celebrate us. I sincerely have been blessed to have worked with an outstanding group of Long Beach Unified School colleagues. I will always consider my extended family. I will always consider them my extended family. Thank you to all who have shown their love for me. My admin, Mr. Comatz, and I'm married too, and Mrs. Espinosa for being there. My sister friends, and most importantly, my husband that tells me, only you, he says. My 4 daughters, Natalie, Priscilla is in New Jersey, Daniela couldn't be here today, and Thalia, my youngest. Brothers, my niece and nephew, okay, the legacy goes on, Hernandez, okay, Jackie and Jose Hernandez, so I leave it to them, okay? Let's see, that will continue my legacy, and all that have been through this journey with me. So I thank them. Now I am ready for the next chapter in my life. So I thank you all. And do you know the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? Okay, my invitation, which I'm going to share a party picnic with my whole community. It says, if you give Senora Hernandez a cookie, she's going to ask for a party to go with it. So this is going to be a grand picnic with our community, and I don't know how I'm going to pull it off, but everybody's going to eat. Sí se puede. So thank you very much, and I have something for you. I'll give it to you when we take a picture. Okay, so thank you so much, and yay!
Thank you. We're going to take a little pause and ask our retirees to come up, and then the board will join you for a picture right up here. Okay.
How many comments do we have?
Okay, so while everybody is either exiting or taking their seat, I will direct your attention to the screens. There are 3 screens, and we have some celebrations. And our first one is for National Board teachers, and then the next video will be in honor of Classified Employee Week. So we have not 1, but 2 special videos. So we will go to the screens. In just 1 second, we will be celebrating our classified employees and also National Board teachers. I believe we're ready.
National Board Certification is a process designed for teachers to demonstrate through standards-based evidence the positive impact they have on student learning. It is a public assurance that teachers have met the profession's highest standards of accomplished practice. It is grounded in their 5 core propositions that describe what teachers should know and be able to do. Teachers have a commitment to student learning. They know the subjects they teach and how to teach those subjects to students. They are responsible for managing and monitoring student learning. They think systematically about their practice and learn from experience. And teachers are members of learning communities. The certification process is designed to collect standards-based evidence of accomplished practice and is divided into 4 components: content knowledge, differentiation in instruction, teaching practice and learning environment, and being an effective and reflective practitioner. In Long Beach Unified, we offer support to teachers in different stages of their National Board Certification journey. We currently have 20 teachers in a pre-candidate program, 27 in our candidate program, and 182 teachers who have received their National Board Certification. To be a part of our pre-candidate program, teachers must have at least 3 years of successful classroom teaching experience as a regular contract teacher. They apply to the program and, if accepted by the National Board Oversight Committee, they participate in the professional development sessions led by LBUSD NB support providers. Once participants successfully complete the pre-candidate program, they have the option to apply to our candidate program. For participants who advance to the LBUSD candidate program, the district sponsors their registration and National Board assessment fees. Candidates can also attend support meetings provided by LBUSD National Board teachers to get additional support and guidance on the 4 components. They will work at their own pace to complete the certification process in 1 to 5 years. National Board candidates that complete the process and achieve their National Board certification receive an additional compensation at a rate of 5% of the base salary. The district also provides support meetings for teachers who need to maintain their certification. National Board certified teachers also have the option to serve as National Board Designated Master Teachers, or NBDMTs, with the district. In this role, NBDMTs are expected to provide 60 hours of service outside the regularly scheduled workday or year. Those that choose this option receive an additional compensation at a rate of 5% of the base salary. National Board Designated Master Teachers are responsible for providing numerous hours of service outside their duty day or year to benefit the teachers and students of Long Beach Unified. The impact of MBDMTs are categorized in the following 7 types of services. 1. Provide direct support to students in intervention or after-school programs. 2. Assistance to National Board pre-candidates, candidates, or advanced candidates. 3. Assistance and guidance to new teachers. 4. Assistance and guidance to student teachers. 5. Assistance and guidance to experienced teachers. 6. Offering professional development activities for teachers. And 7. Curriculum development that benefits your school or the district. As of March 22nd, NBDMTs have provided a total of 5,509 hours of support in the various types of services. Now, we would like to take this opportunity to recognize our teachers who have achieved their National Board certification during the 2023-24 academic year. Achieving National Board certification is a great accomplishment and demonstrates their hard work and commitment to continue their growth as educators. As in other professions, certification requires periodic demonstration of current knowledge and skills. It signifies that teachers are up to date on the knowledge and best practices in their certification area. Let's take a moment to acknowledge our NBCTs who have maintained their board certification this year, which extends their NB certification for an additional 5 years.
Now I believe we have a second video for our classified employees.
The day-to-day operation of the warehouse is to primarily receiving all items and orders from our district for all our staff and all our students. We ensure the accuracy, ensure the specifications of what we order is what we actually ordered from our vendor. Once that's completed, then we get them ready to be delivered from our designed routes that covers the entire school district. Our staff does an exceptional job in processing every order with care and ensuring that what we process through the warehouse is definitely what is needed. Not only do we support our students, but we also support the staff that is cleaning the operation, fixing the sites, ensuring the sites are clean and well maintained for our students to be able to learn. So what's different about serving the school district is definitely that we get to service our students. We get to service our community, we get to service our city. Ultimately, we get to service our staff that are supporting the students and providing an environment for them to learn. So our team takes tremendous pride in servicing our school sites and our students to ensure that the environment which they're learning is conducive to everybody that is involved within the schools.
So on behalf of the board, we thank all of the teachers that go above and beyond and obtain their national board certifications, and also our sincere thanks for all the wonderful classified employees we have throughout the district. At this time, I will ask our student board member to acknowledge with a special acknowledgement. Axel.
So I would just like to take a moment to acknowledge the significance of May. May signifies the Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And Asian American and Native Pacific Islander is a broad term that it encompasses the entire continent of Asia, including East, Southeast, and South Asia, and the Pacific Islands of Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. Exploring the history of Asian American and Native Pacific Islander AA and NHPI communities unveils their rich cultural heritage, resilience, and significant contributions to the nation. Whether through pivotal roles in constructing the Transcontinental Railroad or engaging in civil rights activism, AA and HPI individuals have left a lasting impact on American history, championing justice and diversity. Thank you.
Thank you, Axel. At this time, we set aside for public hearing, and that is item number 11.1 are on the agenda, special education local plan for 2024-25. Do we have any speakers?
We don't have any.
We don't have any speakers on that. So I will consider that closed since we have no one to speak on that, and move on to public testimony on items listed on the agenda, but I don't think we have
We
any.
don't have any either.
We don't have any anybody to speak on items listed on the agenda, in which case we will go to public testimony. People wishing to speak to items not listed on the agenda. Please note that due to California law, we, the board, cannot enter into a discussion on any items not listed on the agenda. Board members may ask clarifying questions, but such discussion is limited, and I will remind our public that you have 3 minutes each, and we have quite a stack, a long list of people who wish to speak, so we'll try and give everyone a chance if we can move right along. So we will start with Kendra McGivney, and after that, Danielle Pooley.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Kendra McGivney, and I am a parent at Bixby Elementary School. I am one of 131 parents and caregivers at Bixby who signed a petition firmly requesting that LBUSD provide funds for Bixby Elementary School to have a full play structure for grades 3rd through 5th. We have contacted LBUSD, including Dr. Baker, for several months, and we either do not get a response or only get a brief response that does not answer our questions or give us any actionable guidance. After repeated emails, Dr. Baker responded on April 10th, stating that we could seek partnerships with nonprofit agencies, write grants, or raise funds for a play structure. However, no follow-up or guidance on this was provided. 3 more emails were sent urging a response for clarity, and only then did we receive a response stating that a member of your team would be in contact with us. However, there has been no one in contact with us, and that was sent on April 23rd. Dr. Baker and staff stated that the recent playground upgrades were based on safety and that there is no funding for full play structures at Bixby. However, with respect, there seems to be funding for playgrounds and other upgrades at schools such as Minigant, Newcomb, Lowell, Naples, Prisk, and many other schools in high-income areas in your district. So we are asking why schools that already have full playgrounds continue to get district funding for upgrades that are clearly not based solely on safety. The Director of Maintenance, Mr. Van West, did not deny this fact when I spoke to him on March 28th, and he stated that he does not have the answer as to why this is the case. We respectfully request that LBUSD release funding to complete the playground at Bixby by putting in a full play structure similar to the above-mentioned schools for the 3rd through 5th graders and start this process as soon as possible. Please see our signed petition with 131 signatures. We have removed names and emails for privacy, but you can see the timestamp of each electronic signature. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. After Danielle Pooley, we have Laura Friedman.
Hello, my name's Danielle. I'm a parent at Bixby Elementary. I'm also one of the 131 concerned parents that signed the petition as well for a new play structure for 3rd through 5th graders. I'm here today to advocate for releasing the funds to build the 3rd through 5th graders a play structure or equivalent for recess. Currently, there are only 2 sets of monkey bars and a basketball hoop for them. Recently, our TK through 2nd graders have received funding that enabled them to have some beautiful new play structures, and for which that we are grateful. However, this is not inclusive of almost half of our school. As far as we've been told, there are not plans to fund any improvements for the 3rd through 5th graders. As we know, with our children having more screen time than ever, physical activity has taken a back seat, and children are also bullying and being bullied on alarming rates. Having a safe space at school that will spark their imagination and promote physical activity has been scientifically proven to improve our older elementary school children's development. There's a peer-reviewed article published in 2022 that found that quality playground equipment at schools improves students' autonomy, competence, and relatedness among children 9 to 12. They state, and I quote, "We found that children aged 9 to 12 needed a variety of play possibilities that challenge their skills, as well as areas to retract and be with friends." As a mother of a 1st grader, it's so important to me to keep my child active and engaged at school, even at recess. When children feel left out, as our 3rd through 5th graders have expressed that they do, they are more likely to foster resentment and frustration instead of teamwork, laughter, and positive feelings at school. I would respectfully ask that you consider releasing funds or creating a tangible action plan with a 6-month timeline for our older children to have their own play space in order to give our children all of the tools we possibly can to move into middle school with their autonomy, competence, and relatedness intact. Thank you for your time and future collaboration with us.
Thank you. After Laura, we have Stuart Friedman.
Dear Long Beach Unified School District Board members, my name is Lauren Friedman. I am a parent of a child at Poly High School. Thank you for allowing me to contribute and participate in today's meeting. Please do not renew the California for Justice contract. Let's use our public tax dollars to benefit a better future for all of our children. We applaud and support providing the appropriate access for students to develop their leadership and their professional skills. What we should not and need not applaud and support are programs that use hate influence, hate ideology, and hate speech. The actions of paying and incentivizing with cash is disingenuous, inauthentic, belligerent, incorrigible, and disrespectful. Please do not renew the CFJ contract. Let's use our public tax dollars to benefit a better future for all of our children. CFJ is blazing the path to perpetuating unwanted cultural and self-serving biases during this lifetime and beyond. It is clear that CFJ has lost their way on the path to developing children. LBUSD should not be their safe house. Their nurturing, LBUSD should not be their safe house. Their nurturing epicenter for their lost and misguided ways of hate, especially when speaking to using our public tax dollars of any amount. Please do not renew the CFJ contract. Let's use our public tax dollars to benefit a better future for all of our children. Thank you for your profound and respectful consideration in this matter.
Thank you. After Stuart, we have Carolina.
Dear Long Beach Unified School District Board members, my name is Stuart Friedman and I reside in Long Beach and have a son at Polytech High School. Thank you for allowing me to contribute and participate in today's meeting. Please do not renew the CFJ contract. Let's use our public tax dollars to benefit a better future for all of our children. We applaud and support providing the appropriate access for students to develop their leadership and professional skills. What we should not and need not applaud and support are programs that use hate, influence, hate ideology, and hate speech. The actions of paying and incentivizing with cash is disingenuous, inauthentic, belligerent, incorrigible, indignant, and disrespectful. Please do not renew the CFJ contract. Let's use our public tax dollars to benefit a better future for all of our children. CFJ is blazing the path to perpetuating unwanted cultural and self-serving biases during this lifetime and beyond. It is clear CFJ has lost their way on their path to developing children. LBUSD should not be their safe house or their nurturing epicenter for their lost and misguided ways of hate, especially when we're speaking to using our public dollars, tax dollars, of any amount. Please do not renew the CFJ contract. Let's use our public tax dollars to benefit a better future for all of our children. Thank you for your profound and respectful consideration in this matter.
Thank you. After Carolina, we have Caleb.
Good evening, members of the board, Bixby community, and people in attendance. My name is Carolina Guajardo, and I'm a parent at Bixby Elementary. Our Bixby community is here today again, 2 months after, to discuss playground structure improvements that took place this school year and do not meet the needs of all of our students. We're making a request for LBUSD to provide a clear path on how we can achieve our desired playground for upper grades. Recently, we received a new playground from TKK in 1st and 2nd grades. Thank you for that. It looks amazing. It's very modern. Kids are enjoying it. But we also observe a lack of follow-through for a plan to update the older children's side of the playground. We have seen a lack of play options for older children and a sense of unfairness between the older children and the younger children. We understand the structure doesn't solve bullying or fights, but it beautifies our school, has multiple socio-emotional benefits, and it gives another avenue of movement for those students that don't want to play organized sports. In the Coffee with the Principal meeting on April 25th, there were some answers regarding foundation, but no answers on the playground. I personally requested a safety evaluation of the upper playground, and that email from Thursday, April 26th has not yet been answered. If the district did a safety evaluation of the monkey bars area, we would kindly request to see the report. And in the case this area is found to be unsafe and would have to be taken down for safety, we would like to request input from the community for a reasonable replacement. Through another parent, I heard Mr. Jesperson and Principal Vieira will meet with the parents at Bixby. If this is true, we kindly request that you let parents know with at least 2 weeks' notice so that the parents that are full-time workers, all of us here today are, can make all the efforts to participate. Parents at Bixby are working to collaborate via playground partners and playground buying playground items and beautifying the school in any way we can. Please help us in our efforts to beautifying our school and helping our kids thrive through upper grade structure. Thank you so much. Also, Brianna Gonzalez was not able to attend and asked me to speak on her behalf. This is direct quote, on playground social emotional awareness, how can the school create healthy playground structure between the children with providing enough eyes and ears for the children who are lacking in the area of development to have continued guidance during recreation time to decrease the physical altercation within our school. How does the district intend to improve the children's overall experience in the education? What can the school and district provide? And how can they bridge the gap between what their guidelines are and what can they do to try to pursue as community with the children, even if they're not in the school setting? That concludes Brianna's message. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. After Caleb, we have Lisa Lavelle.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Caleb McGivney, and I'm a proud parent of 2 children at Bixby Elementary. I am one of the 131 parents and caregivers at Bixby who signed the petition firmly requesting that LBUSD provide funds for Bixby Elementary School to provide a play structure for the 3rd through 5th graders similar to the ones that the schools have in your district. Please consider the policy of equity as you listen to the voices of our children. These are direct quotes from children at Bixby Elementary School. I experienced bullying on the playground. I want a place where I can climb. It's not fair my grade does not have a space to play like the little kids. I don't want to go to school if I can't play. There isn't a space for me on the playground. I want a chill zone. I hurt myself falling on the asphalt. I want grass. The playground is like a jail. This part of LBUSD's policy of equity stands out to us in particular as we consider where the funding is being directed. Quote, in a large institution like LBUSD, reconciliation happens through acknowledging institutional, historical, and systemic harm, analyzing the issues that have caused them harm, creating an action plan for improvement, and a commitment to repair the negative impact through new actions. We are not asking for words of understanding. What we need is for you to create an action plan for improvement by providing our school with the same consideration as other schools in the district. We respectfully urge the release of the funds to Bixby Elementary School to pay for a full play structure for the 3rd through 5th graders. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. After Ms. Lavelle, we have Lena Schuper.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Lavelle. I am an elected official on the City Council for the City of Avalon, and I'm here to represent the students, parents, and residents of our community and the greater Catalina community. I thank you for the time to speak. Thanks, guys. You did great, too. And just wanted to, first off, bring to your attention an invitation. We would love to have Long Beach Unified School District come to Avalon and hold a meeting there next year, if you're willing to schedule that, whether that's one of your regular meetings or a special meeting, so that our residents could attend. I don't know if you know what all is involved in me getting here today, but it took a golf cart, a boat ride, a rental car, and a hotel stay to be able to come to this meeting. The meeting is scheduled at a time that doesn't allow us to catch the last boat back to the mainland, back to the island, which is 5:50 p.m. And so even potentially shifting this meeting earlier for the regular public comment portion may allow parents and residents to attend this meeting on a more regular basis. We're not necessarily asking for anything more than what any other school or any other student or parent receives from Long Beach Unified. We're asking for equity for the same. And I'm a very proud follower of your Instagram page. The content that you put out is amazing, but I find myself saddened and a little angry that we often don't have the programs that are presented on the Instagram page. And I understand why. I understand budgetary needs and the relative amount of students we have versus the amount of money it costs to provide schooling on the island. I totally appreciate that. But I'm wondering if we can get creative somehow, if we can find ways to involve our students more, if we can find ways to make it so that we can create those programs on the island for our students, even if they're not led by Long Beach Unified. We have a number of residents and people who are willing to provide services, training, apprenticeships, hours of volunteer time, who have done so for decades in the arts, in shop, in mechanics, in everything that you could imagine most schools have on site. The upgrades that were made to our school this year unfortunately removed the auto shop. I learned how to create a stool in 8th and 9th grade. I had an amazing shop teacher. He missed a portion of his finger for the rest of his life, but it was, a good time. And we had home economics. We had classes for teaching things like that. The home ec room was removed this year and redesigned in the most recent update, and there's not one that I understand is coming back into those plans. It's challenging to see services, clubs, and things removed. And next year, 50% of our teachers will be coming from the mainland via boat daily and will not be able to give that time. So I ask that you consider those things, and happy to chat with you afterwards. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for making the effort to be here. That's quite a journey. After Lena, we have Athena.
Thank you. I'm Lena Schuper. I'm waiting for a response from LBUSD to the petition to end CFJ's contract that over 2,000 Jews of Long Beach have signed. Prior to October 7th, I found comfort in raising my children in Long Beach, a liberal-leaning city celebrated for its diversity and commitment to DEI initiatives. Soon after the largest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, we as American Jews collectively expected steadfast support and protection of Jewish families in our city and public education system during this surge of anti-Semitism. Strangely, an organization contracted by LBUSD, Californians for Justice, CFJ, began disseminating biased and discriminatory messages targeting Jewish people in Israel under the guise of justice education. As both a public and Jewish educator, I feel compelled to correct the propaganda that CFJ is teaching our impressionable youth and getting paid to do so by LBUSD. New York Mayor Adams recently responded to the extremism on college campuses that we're seeing. He said, "This is a global problem that young people are being influenced by those who are professionals and radicalizing our children. If students are not fully informed on a subject, and an educator attempts to convince impressionable students to be anti or pro subject matter, the educator is endangering students and breaking laws meant to protect students from indoctrination. California law requires educators to give unbiased information to allow students to think for themselves. California Education Code 51500 says, "A teacher shall not give instruction and a school district shall not sponsor any activity that promotes a discriminatory bias on the basis of race or ethnicity, religion, nationality, etc." This is to prevent the use of propaganda and indoctrination on vulnerable, impressionable youth. CFJ shares their own underlying agenda on social media, in newsletters, and during school board meetings, as we've witnessed you witnessing. Rather than bring students together in relationship-centered programming, the students who are in pain over a war that peaceful Israelis and Palestinians did not want, CFJ's Instagram expressed support for exclusively Palestinian people, and then inaccurately refers to the legitimate country of Israel as, quote, the occupied 1948 territory, pitting students against the Jewish people and erasing the homeland we are indigenous to. CFJ contributes to the existing conflict. CFJ explains that they are for Black liberation. CFJ associates Jewish people with white supremacist settler colonialism, further fueling bias against our people. Such language distorts facts, but also fosters prejudice and extremism among impressionable students, undermining the essence of education.
Thank you. After Athena, we have Carol Jones.
Good afternoon. My name is Athena Salinas. I am currently a 5th grader at Los Cerritos Elementary. I have been at this school for 6 years, and I am here today on behalf of myself and dozens of other students to tell you how we as students feel about all the testing we are told we have to do. We need to change the testing schedules in this district. The problem is that we have so many tests scheduled for the same month, such as in December and now May. In May, we all know that we have the SBAC test. 5th graders also have more tests than the other grades because we have the science cast on top of the ELA and the math. I am asking that you schedule other district required tests for some other time, and that you not schedule several tests all due in the same month. Try to spread them out. To review, the following are all the tests that just 5th grade needs to do throughout the year. Tests: SBAC in science, ELA, and math. iReady 3 times a year, writing performance tests 3 times a year. Math unit tests 7 in a year. ELA PSA twice a year. 5th grade fitnessgram due in May, fluency 4 times a year. What can we do? Ideally, if we could, no other tests would be scheduled for May, especially because of the SBAC. Also in December, we have so many tests in 1 month. iReady, math unit test, narrative performance test, PSA, and fluency. This is too much tests, and this is not good for our mental health. It is exhausting and overwhelming. Since 3rd grade, I have seen kids struggle and crying during testing, and they are very stressed. The stressfulness about testing is having tests every single week for several weeks straight, and then being worried about doing well. The other problem is, even if we spread them out throughout the year, that means we are taking tests basically every single month. This is bad for kids, and it is affecting our mental health. We have too many tests. All these kids that signed my petition agree that we have too many tests and it is affecting our mental health. Please do something. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Athena. After Carol Jones, we have Tomer.
That was awesome. I just want to acknowledge our student voices. That was fantastic. My name's Carol Jones. I'm here representing Friends of Jewish Long Beach, and I want to state for the record, we are not rich Zionists. We are a group of concerned parents. We are not well-moneyed. This is just, we're like you and me, just people. Late last year, we brought to the district our concern that Californians for Justice has been teaching LBUSD students its overt and publicized anti-Israel and anti-Semitic bias. It's now 5 months later, and we have yet to receive a district response, other than one district representative who acknowledged Californians for Justice anti-Semitic bias, but who concluded that the benefits of the program outweighed her concerns. That's really horrifying. If any group having influence over our students was found to discriminate against people of color, you can be certain that they would be reprimanded. But the concerns of the Jewish community have been ignored, treated as pressure, and not addressed. Our Jewish community does not feel heard. We do not feel included in the district's diversity, equity, and inclusion umbrella. We truly feel brushed aside. Laura Zavala, who is Californian for Justice Senior Strategy Director, describes CFJ as a nonprofit that trains student activists. But what are they teaching our students? They are teaching that Israel should not exist. They refer to Israel not as Israel, but as the 1948 occupied territory. They are rewriting history and teaching that revision to our students to suit their anti-Israel narrative. CFJ invites our students, and they use LBUSD funds to pay them, program funds to pay them, to attend anti-Israel rallies. CFJ may be teaching these kids to speak out, but they are handing them a pre-written anti-Israel speech. This does not teach critical thinking. CFJ is a poison in our district and needs to be cut off and not funded with millions of dollars in taxpayer monies, which by law are required not to discriminate. Members of the board, we urge you, please cancel CFJ's contract. Our petition requesting that this contract be canceled, that we shared with you, has garnered over 2,000 signatures. Use public monies to engage a non-biased contractor to provide LBUSD services. The Jewish community is entitled to a response. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Tomer, we should have time for our last speaker, who is Alex.
Unfortunately for most of you, I am not Tomer. Most of you know me as Ometz Lev. Some of you have spoken with me. So I was not planning on speaking. I hate public speaking, but what I hate more is what's going on right now in the school district. By way of a background, I was a public school teacher back in what they called the 1900s. I have a master's in educational administration. I have certifications, or I did, to teach both in Illinois, Massachusetts, and in California. I've been an LBUSD public substitute teacher. I have a law degree, and I've also been an ethics officer and a compliance officer. So I do that by way of background, but my biggest passion is I'm a grandma of 10 kids, one of whom is in LBUSD school. You know her. I'm just really concerned. As most of you have seen from my emails, I am a research nerd, and you've been getting my emails with lots and lots of research because I really believe in facts and looking at things. So 2 years ago, the strategic director of Californians for Justice said that they were a group, a nonprofit that trains students activists, and that listening to the voice of students was the most important thing. Well, everything I've seen, and I wish CFJ were here, some of the representatives, I don't see them listening to the voices. I see them telling the kids what the voices should be. For instance, they have them wear keffiyehs. Do they know what they represent? Do they know Yasser Arafat wore one? PLO became the Palestinian Authority. Do they know, these kids, that the UN Human Rights released a report in August 2023 regarding how the Palestinian Authority and how Hamas tortured individuals who were gay and homosexuals? Yes, the UN, that is not particularly pro-Israel, their Human Rights Commission issued that. Have they told the kids about the new Iraqi law that's going to put people in jail for 15 years for engaging in homosexual activity? I don't know. They could listen to student voices, not tell them what to think. I think it's great kids are activists, but let them be activists for what they want to be, not what CFJ is telling them. And of course, I overtalk and I'm done. I'll be available afterwards, but thank you for listening.
Thank you. And Alex.
Hi, my name is Alex Gordon. I'm the parent of 2 kindergarteners in our district. I'm here to talk about bullying. My children have been repeatedly bullied for being queer. One of my children attends Longfellow Elementary, where the bullying has been so frequent that it has required interventions involving more than a quarter of his classmates. My other child is in Cerritos Elementary, where the bullying has forced them into hiding their true self and using the wrong pronouns, even though they say doing so makes them feel this small. While the administration at Longfellow has been supportive, they have not been proactive. Unfortunately, Cerritos has been neither. These experiences have made it painfully clear that we need a systemic and intersectional approach to addressing bullying in our elementary schools. My children are not unicorns. If current trends hold, 1/4 of their peers will identify as something other than heterosexual. The Trevor Project's 2023 national survey found 41% of LGBTQ youth 13 to 24 have seriously considered suicide in the past year, including half of all transgender and non-binary kids. This risk is intersectional, is compounded by other risk factors. Doing what has always been done, leaving it to individual teachers and schools, is failing our children. Thankfully, we have access to the Welcoming Students curricula endorsed by the California Department of Education, which can guide us in creating a safer and more inclusive environment for all students. Research by GLSEN shows that schools using programs like this see lower rates of bullying and better academic performances. This isn't surprising. A school that is safe for all students allows them to focus on learning instead of just persevering. Even though both Longfellow and Cerritos fall short, the contrast between the responses of the 2 schools underscores the need for consistent implementation of these programs across the district. It shouldn't matter which school or which teacher a student has. All students should be safe. Programs like Welcoming Schools are essential in this effort. These curricula provide age-appropriate lessons that teach students empathy, respect, and inclusivity from an early age. I tried to get Longfellow School to use part of the curriculum from Welcoming Schools, Jacob's New Dress, the book, in their lessons, because my son wears dresses to school every day and has been bullied weekly. They said the book's not on the approved book list and refused. That is completely unacceptable. If the California Department of Education endorses it, I don't see how Longfellow can say it's inappropriate for our children. We need to do better. Please do better.
Thank you. Next up are the board members' reports for our superintendent advisory groups. We will start with the business, budget, and policy development. Dr. Benitez.
Yes, colleagues, we have one new policy for our consideration. It's a suicide prevention policy that we will be receiving in June for a consideration, conversation, and potential adoption. That's all from me, President Carrick.
Thank you. Item 14.2 is the instruction and student learning supports, but Ms. Lopez is not here this evening, so we will move on to 14.3, which is workforce development. Mr. Miller.
Yeah, I'll try and be brief here. So some key points I wanted to share are first about our substitutes. In the last 6 months, we've hired a total of 314 day-to-day substitutes, which now brings us to a total of 1,542 substitutes within the Long Beach Unified School District. We are working to actively recruit additional day-to-day substitutes for the 24-25 school year. This is a great way to learn about our system and obtain experience at multiple levels and sites across our district. The second piece I wanted to bring up is our Preliminary Administrative Services Credential, or PASC. Last week, we launched our very own LBUSD Preliminary Administrative Services Credential, PASC program, with 30 internal candidates from departments and sites across the Long Beach Unified School District. Students are currently taking 2 courses, School Improvement Leadership and Visionary Leadership. We are excited to be building our internal programs that provide an opportunity for future leaders to learn about what it means to lead in the Long Beach Unified School District. So, just 2 quick updates.
Thank you. Did you have something?
No, I think I was just waiting for you to move on to the next.
Oh, okay. And item 14.4, student outcome focused governance.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Otto about this. Let's see if you're cool with it, Doug. We ran out of time in our student outcomes focused governance presentation earlier today. I would ask my colleagues if we could sort of continue, I should say, the conversation, given that I don't want us to lose momentum. There was a lot of energy at the end of the Browning presentation, and I don't think we can recreate the opportunity since this happened today. So I would ask my colleagues if they're okay with us sort of opening up a conversation to continue our conversation if our superintendent and the team are okay with it. What say you, Mr. Otto?
I think that's a good idea. We heard, so everyone knows, today we had a workshop this afternoon for, and it got presentations from faculty and students from Grant Elementary School and Browning Early College High School that were very, very informative about what's going on in this area of student outcomes focused education. And we were invited to answer or to ask questions and talk about it. And as Mr. Manager said, we ran out of time. And so I'd be happy to open that up and talk a little bit about what our impressions were. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I was most interested in when it came to our presentations today was really hearing the stories from the students. When I heard about their experiences, one of the things that I wanted to ask, and I was hoping for an opportunity to ask the question, and these are one of these that I'll have to give you, Mr. Moskovitz, because I think about a program like what's happening at Browning, and I wonder now you got to think outside the box here. If these kids had a time machine and could go back in time and talk to those teachers or to talk to that school counselor who influenced them to join this program, what would they hope that teacher or that school counselor would say? And that's the piece that I would hope that we can bottle up and make sure that all of our school counselors and all of our teachers are kind of planting that seed in all of our students when it comes to achieving more than they think that they're capable of. I think that it's. I think it was just one of those pieces where I wanted to hear a little bit more from them in regards to not the early impact, but more importantly, what was the catalyst that kind of sparked the wanting for more.
I think that's an interesting point because when we heard from the one Browning student, Christopher Corona, I think that was his name.
Coronado.
Yeah. Kind of similar. He spoke about not really having the confidence in himself, but somehow or another, with the encouragement of teachers, he was able to take college courses when he thought he was struggling with the high school courses, but he surprised himself by how much he was able to not just manage, but succeed at. And so it's that kind of thing where I don't know if we're relying on teachers or counselors or who it is, but the encouragement that's given to the students, can't be overstated because we see now that he's not only graduating from high school, but he's also receiving his AA degree.
Right.
And this is somebody who maybe didn't think they could handle all that, but he's proven to himself that he can.
Yeah, and I think that was when we heard his story, one of the biggest undertones was fantastic teachers and counselors, but one of the things that I've had many conversations with Kellyanne and even with David Zaid is that we have so many great counselors and administrative folks and teachers, and they all have like their own, let's call it secret sauce. But how do we bottle that up? How do we capture that? And that's what I was hoping to hear from, so we can find ways to kind of capture some of those things so that we make sure that we continuously use them for future generations.
Thank you, Mr. Miller and President Craighead. So if I can build on what you two just shared, specifically around Connor's and Chris's comments. So I wrote this down as both of them shared with us and our team their stories. So they were very descriptive in the agency that they felt, the volition that they felt, the decisiveness that it took toward leadership. Right? Both of them were talking about leadership. And both our grant teams and our Browning teams highlighted, I'm going to put this into one of our prompts, Brian, one of our suggested prompt question types. But the teams highlighted and affirmed that a sense of belonging, connectedness, the students talked about, engagement, all lead to those things that we want to see as a part of student success, right? Whether we're talking about specific educational outcomes, whether we're talking about social and emotional well-being, that those things, that secret sauce that we need to bottle, are grounded in engagement, sense of belonging, connectedness, and directing that toward student volition, agency, and these leadership opportunities. So the question here, from my perspective, Mr. Moskowitz, and I think my colleagues are saying this, is there are best practices embedded in what was described at Grant and at Browning, and what we've heard here that it's going on at a lot of other schools. And so whether it's connected to dual enrollment, whether it's connected to, was it called the Great First Eight? Is that the, whether it's connected to our Black student initiatives, success initiatives, whether it's connected to the wonderful stuff that's going on in the dual immersion programs. These are things that in many ways have been replicated, can be expanded on and scaled. So the question here is really around, we know what some of these best practices are, where they're working. How do we sort of maximize on that, Mr. Moskowitz? So I'm going here. Are there best practices in this area that we might explore further Right,
I thought you were going to throw the first question. How can we replicate what's happening in other places?
Sure.
And I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah,
right?
they go hand in hand. And we talked about that in terms of Ms. Villa,
Right.
Right? When you followed up and asked Ms. Villa, okay, what do we need to do here to make this happen more?
Yeah, I'll share a few comments, and I would definitely invite my colleagues. I know Dr. Camarino is doing some work at the high schools related to expansion of the Breakthrough Success. Dr. Lund can speak to what we're doing, learning from Great First Aid and thinking about what that might look like in other places in elementary, across actually all levels. Mr. Zaid as well. So I'll just kind of, some of my initial thinking. One of the things that I think we heard today was, and I made a reference to it, but I'll say again for people who may be listening now for the first time. While Board Goal 1 may be about reading proficiency by 3rd grade, a lot of what we heard from the team at Grant was not so much about teaching reading skills in some isolated way, but actually building a student's sense of community and understanding of their community, connected with teacher. Teacher was talking about, Ms. V was talking about the joy that students experience. She was expressing joy in that. And so I think one of the things that we've learned from Great First Aid is not necessarily that we're going to take Great First Aid to every school. That may not be feasible for a variety of reasons. But what are some of the practices that are part of the curriculum of Great First Aid that can come through maybe in some other ways? And actually, I'll hand it over to Dr. Lund, maybe just share a little bit about some of the interdisciplinary work we're exploring that really came out from the Grant team.
Yeah, so 2 things I would add is, 1, we are looking at some expansion of Great First Aid. Obviously, Grant is looking at expanding to 1st grade and then to 2nd the following year. So we can really see what the K-2 experience looks like and that carry forward learning, that really starts in kindergarten. We are actually taking a step back also and looking at introduction of Great First Aid into some of our TK and pre-K programs. So that is part of our piloting. So although this isn't a pilot for Nell Duke, who did some piloting in other districts, we are one of the vanguard schools. That's part of her program. It is a pilot for us internally. It is not a learning opportunity for us to see what works on behalf of our students and seeing how we can then replicate that in other capacities within our own unit guides, planning, and professional development that we do and provide to teachers. So one specific aspect that was brought up today or highlighted was around project-based learning and around interdisciplinary projects. That incorporation that Ms. Villa talked about of incorporating science and history into the content. We are looking at piloting some new curriculum this coming year with our own internal curriculum guides in elementary schools of really grounding some of the literacy content in science and using that as a springboard to literacy, grounding in some of that project-based experiences that science lends itself so well to, science and engineering. At the middle school level, we're looking at history as a grounding of literature and of ELA practices. It's a little bit more challenging in middle school just because of the 2 different subjects taught by 2 different teachers. But from a project-based learning standpoint, there are huge opportunities to incorporate the 2 fields of study into a combined project, if you will, so that students are walking hand in hand with the same content. Unlike the sort of disparate experiences that students may have now moving across 6 or 7 periods within our system. So there's huge opportunities, I think, from an interdisciplinary standpoint, from a project-based learning standpoint. We have a couple pilots with PBL at the high school level going on right now in a couple different pathways. So this is all part of a collective experience, really that ties really well into our Vision 2035 work. And that sort of grounding in real world experiences that project-based learning and interdisciplinary thinking can support.
I'd give another example then on the other end of the spectrum. So as I said earlier, while board goals 3 and 4 at their core are really about grades, and if we can get our students to pass their core courses, their A through G courses with a C or better, then they'll be college ready. Like that is ultimately the goal, and specifically that our Black students, there's no gap between our Black and our non-Black students as it relates to A through G eligibility. So then you talk about, well, what are some of the practices to replicate? And I remember that Dr. Camarino had to leave just a moment ago. But we, through our work with core districts, and you heard this earlier today, but I just want to reinforce it. Through our work with core districts, there is a research-based approach to transition from 8th to 9th grade that they've identified, they call Breakthrough Success Communities, BTSC. And on slide 31, if you get a moment to go back to look at those, there are 5 key practices. And as I'm reading these, like we can be thinking about other places where we are growing this in our system. So adult teaming, there's a lot of work going on around making sure that pathways and teachers have common conference periods that they might be able to use for planning. 8th to 9th transition. Many of our schools are doing like a web from 5th to 6th, other bridge programs from 8th to 9th. Relationships, all the work we're doing, that we've done a lot of training with our teachers over recent years around building relationships with students. You heard about the 2x10, which is a very specific activity that all adults, not just teachers, adults can engage with students on. The last one, there's grading. And so when we think about our grading work that we're engaging in this next year, and just getting that off the ground with the policy that you adopted a couple of months ago, these are research-based practices that support students transition from 8th to 9th specifically, and also then can be applied across the high school. And so we have some schools that have been testing out, if you will, the BTSC work for multiple years. And then just last week at our high school principals meeting, those principals who've been engaged with this work were sharing best practices that are different, because every school is a little bit different, but sharing some of these best practices with their other colleagues, which was prompting those high school principals to think, if I went back to my instructional leadership team and engaged with them around some of this, what that could look like. I'll pause and see if there's anyone else who would like to add into that.
Looking at with this student outcomes focused governance, we've been looking at how can we improve or keep on an upward swing of what it is that our students are doing to finish and graduate and move on. And but we historically, up till now, we've been looking at interim student outcomes. And this particular workshop today was to share qualitative data instead of that. And qualitative data was defined as non-numerical information that provides a deep and a nuanced understanding of human experiences, behaviors, perceptions, and attitudes through all the ways that can be communicated. And we saw a lot of that, and that's what Grant talked about. That's what Browning Early College High School, the students and the staff members did. And it was very, very heartwarming to hear all of that. Yet what I took away from it was it really is all about the relationships between the faculty, the staff, and the students. And I kept thinking, how do you take that to scale? How do you make that work for everybody? And there are ways to do that. There's no question that when you establish that relationship, that what happens is you're building trust, you're building interest. I thought it was particularly moving to hear the student from Browning talk about how, he was kind of floating along and wasn't sure what he was going to do, and then he talked to somebody and felt better about it and found a pathway, and it wasn't a pathway that we would have not that long ago celebrated very much, but it was very clear that he had gotten what he wanted out of his Long Beach Unified School District experience, and was looking forward to the next steps, which this time was going to a form of technical education. So I do think it is about relationships and establishing those relationships, not only between students and teachers, but among teachers. I mean, a lot of what we heard was teachers, spending time planning and talking to one another about what works and what not. And, how much time do we have? I look at, we're coming up with a state budget that's scary in terms of what class size is going to be like, and what we're going to be able to fund in terms of other things. But I think the message is clear. If we can get students to speak with staff and faculty, and faculty to learn things, and then get those connections, and we do a great job of that. I think we do a particularly good job of that. But you got to keep your eyes on that, because I think that's the core of how this works.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'd like to highlight two additional things, and they're, I think, interwoven into what was covered earlier today and what's just shared right now. So I'll use the project-based learning example. A huge component of that for kindergartners, right? For kindergartners, was the community engagement aspects, right? That we're communicating with our neighborhoods, the asset-based approach, right? That how often and how important is it when it does happen that a student's community, a student's family, the place where the student shops at, the neighborhoods where those families go through, are part of the learning. They're the project part, right? So Bimbo, I was thinking buñuelos, I was thinking all kinds of, so the tortillas, right? How important these cultural, when we talk about Black Student Success Initiative, African stories, right? All of these things are looked at now through the educational project. That part, so the community engagement part, the partnership part, the village as it was described, Ms. Villa lit up, right, when she saw that picture of the students. We asked her, or she was asked, what do you see in that picture? She said joy, right, and that's the culture shift. And I'm lifting that piece out because Ms. Villa also, it takes a lot of courage for a teacher to do this, said, I didn't want to do this. I changed my mind about it. I've been teaching for 20 years. So if Ms. Villa can pull this off, I mean, and I was at the induction, results day yesterday for our first year teachers. But that's powerful, right? From a adult behaviors changing perspective, that is one of the most powerful things, right? That a teacher with 20 years experience is able to pivot, is able to rethink and reimagine, because at the end of the day, she knows this is what's best for our students. Right? So I want to lift up the partnership piece, the community engagement piece, the asset approach to these projects, but also the volition that it takes from our adults, educators, to reflect on and to, in the best sense of the word, of the world and the word, adapt to these strategies. So I know that that's interwoven into this, but that's an absolutely necessary and essential component, right? For a 20-year experienced teacher, and then for her team and for her to recognize, if it wasn't for the team that I had here, I wouldn't be able to pull this off on my own.
Yeah, all very good points, all very good things to consider. And I think that was wonderful when she was asked about the picture and she said she saw joy, because I think that's what everybody else saw too. We all saw that joy. So are we ready to move on, or did somebody have anything else to add? No? Okay. Yeah, thank you. I think that was a valuable part of today is kind of highlighting what we went through earlier, what we experienced with those presentations, what we learned. One of the phrases I picked up was being able to humanize the data, and that's the difference between the quantitative and qualitative. So I like that. Okay, so next on the agenda is the consent calendar, and this is where we group the approval of routine agenda items into one action for efficiency. So I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Discussion. I'll just highlight the fact that we had over $80,000 in donations. So I just wanted to thank all of the donors, whether they're big or small. I know a lot of those donations represent volunteers from different schools, whether it's PTA, PTO, or other groups that volunteer their time to raise money to benefit their own schools. And that's over and above what they're already doing and raising their own children as they're raising money to benefit everyone at that school. So thank you for everyone who contributes their time and energy. So I will have our board secretary take a roll call vote on the consent calendar.
Member Otto?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
Member Miller?
Aye.
Student Member Aguilar, preferential vote.
Aye.
That passes 4-0.
Thank you. And next we have consent calendar B, approval of finance report B.
Yes, Madam Craighead. Out of abundance of caution, I recuse myself from consent calendar B, item 16, as I have a potential conflict of interest under state law.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? I will have our board secretary take a roll call vote.
Member Otto?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
Member Miller? Abstain. Student Member Aguilar, preferential vote.
Aye.
That passes 3-0.
Thank you. And next we have item 17.1 under new business, approval of resolution 051524-A, supporting classified school employee week. And I'm going to have our student board member, Axel, read that for us.
Resolution number 051524-A is a resolution of the Board of Education of the Long Beach Unified School District supporting Classified School Employee Week. Whereas an informed, educated citizenry is the foundation for success of our democracy, our economy, and America's future, and whereas classified employees often operating largely in the background and out of the limelight provide essential support and contribute immeasurably to the quality educational programs for our children, youth, and adults, touching the lives of so many individuals with a profound and lasting effect, and whereas dedicated classified employees display a deep commitment to our public schools, helping to create an environment conducive to excellence and equity for thousands of students. And whereas the Long Beach Unified School District recognized as the leading school system, and this distinction is due to a large part of our classified employees whose daily efforts and supports are deeply valued and appreciated by everyone in our school communities. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Long Beach Unified School District here proclaims May 19th to the 25th as Classified School Employee Week and urges everyone to express their deep gratitude to all classified employees for their vital services to the students of the Long Beach Unified School District. In witness of whereof, we are here on to set our hands on this day, the 15th day of May, 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Axel. Okay, so we need a motion.
Move for approval.
Second?
Any discussion?
Yes, President Craighead, I just thought of another thing from presentation from kindergartners. In recognition of our classifieds, the project they chose was to celebrate and honor a member of the custodial team there at Grant. So again, I mean, we can go on and on about the importance of this interdisciplinary project-based approach. So I don't know if they mentioned the name, but big props to our classifieds. You were recognized today by kindergartners at Grant. Yeah. Yes, there you go. Thank you, Mr. Moskowitz.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Also, I was impressed with the fact that the kids didn't want to leave a mess for him. That it shows so much maturity right there. So, yes, very impressive.
So we see you, classified staff. We see you every day.
Yes, yes. Okay. Oh, yes.
I was just going to say that one of the themes that the kids were learning about is chain reactions. And so a part of their theme and a part of their learning is understanding how one thing impacts another. So that's actually a part of the project, understanding, what it means to be a part of community. And that's really the power of culturally relevant, responsive, sustaining, and affirming curriculum. So.
All righty, so I will have our board secretary take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Member Otto?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Benitez?
Aye.
Member Miller?
Aye.
Student Member Aguilar, preferential vote.
Aye.
Thank you. That passes 4-0.
Thank you. And now we are at report of board members. So Axel, we'll start with you.
Good evening, senior team and community. I would like to highlight some of the things that the Ames Pathway has done in the recent weeks. We have done an Ames-a-Palooza, which is our first annual event where all students from the Ames Pathway come together and just have a good time. There was a lot of things that we did in that event. We had a dodgeball game where students were able to play dodgeball against boy versus girl, classes like the juniors versus seniors. Staff and students were able to participate in that game as well, which is very fun to watch. We've also had basketball games during that event as well, which was very fun to see. It's not something that we get to do every day, but it's something that I really enjoyed and that other students enjoyed as well. Students also from the Ames Pathway were able to sing, do karaoke. There was a band in particular that played from the Ames Pathway that played very well, and it was very surprising to me because I didn't know that we did and had those students with those talents. But it was very nice to see that we had students that were able to express their artistic sides in a medical science event, which was very fun. We had pizza, juices, popcorn, nachos, a variety of things for free, and our students were able to have a lot of fun. Moving on to our seniors for the Ames Pathway, we recently presented our senior capstone project with the community. And the seniors of this year decided to present on a variety of issues like body image, drug abuse, homelessness, food insecurity, special education after high school success, school safety, immigration issues, and much more. I was a part of this community engagement presentations, and my team and I presented our topic, which is elements of adulthood, which is the variety of aspects of adulting that we hope our students will gain in high school to become future-ready adults to take on life after high school. I want to give a huge thank you to Dr. Lund, Kim Irons, Dr. Shipman, Tammy Lavelle, Carrie Wiley, Carol Ortega, and Viva Mogi for taking the time to hear my team and I's project. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Axel. Mr. Miller.
Yeah, I'll be brief. We obviously just approved the resolution for Classified School Employee Week, and we just finished our celebration of our teachers. And so I get to see all over social media just all the affirmations towards our teachers. I actually got to participate in a couple of those activities. One that I wanted to highlight because they just went above and beyond was the PTO over at Alvarado and Principal Huber and her team. Oh man, it was one heck of a week for our teachers. As they were definitely spoiled by that PTO all week, and I thought that it was much deserved. And so I just wanted to give those teachers over at Alvarado, and more importantly the PTO who did the majority of the spoiling, a big shout out and thank you to taking care of our teachers during a very, very celebratory week. Second is there was an event over at Cabrillo High School just a few weeks ago, Youth Day. This was an event hosted by the Department of Health for the city of Long Beach. This in partnership with Cabrillo High School, obviously with it being part of the city, our mayor Rex Richardson, and then also we had the participation of our students over at Wilson, the Young Black Scholars Groups. Yeah. Yes, and Green School folks were there as well. Yeah, and so at the meeting, they discussed a number of things. They discussed mental health, violence prevention, climate action, of course. One of the big surprises, which I don't know if you guys are involved in the hip-hop game. Let me tell you, Mr. Moskovitz, I'm sure you're very much involved in our hip-hop interactions here. But with that, we had... Well, he was looking at
I'm not really sure how to take that, but I'm gonna take it.
He was giving me the head nod. I was like, oh, he must have known. No, but we had Vince Staples, who honestly, as a rap artist and now an actor, he just came out with a film that was centered around the city of Long Beach. I really appreciate his candidness about poignant issues. And so he was very candid with kids about things as big as what they should do after high school, and topics as nuanced as the rap battle between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. But all things considered, to have a young man of his caliber to be there to celebrate Youth Day here in Long Beach, to speak candidly with them about issues that they could relate to, I think was insightful. I think that is exactly the type of community interactions that our kids prefer these days. I think that they often get a very polished versions of what they should say and how they should behave. And I think that this event, in particular, especially with somebody who is as candid as Vince, was both enlightening and I think it was probably a bit refreshing for them. And so, all things considered, I just wanted to give a big thank you and shout out to everyone who put on the event, as I know it was one that those young people will never forget. And I hope that it was not only just an experience, but something that'll be a catalyst to their future positive progression. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Dr. Benitez.
Yes, thank you. I want to highlight several things. In the spirit of expressing appreciation to teachers, we have a nationally board certified teacher in the house, Jerry. Yes. Here, Morrison, here from Taub. And I'm lifting that up because Taub had an event last week as well in appreciation of teachers. You can't get much better than mulitas, quesadillas, tacos, and ice cream to show appreciation. On a more serious note, Dr. Baker, maybe even Wayne, can we explore what opportunities we may be able to provide access to our Avalon community to be able to access our board meetings, whether we do that virtually or so. I appreciate the public comment that was made today because, yeah, I mean, I hadn't even thought about how would they get over here in time for a public comment and make it back. So can we look at what ways we can be more explicitly inclusive? You're talking specifically about public testimony. Yes, yeah. Yes, public testimony, correct. Yeah. Yes, that's it, Dr. Baker. Let me see. I got a long list here. Craighead. No, I'm just playing. Let me work backwards in time. Hanging out. We'll make it before 8, Wayne. Crip Camp. So we had a special screening of Crip Camp last week. Amazing evening, beautiful evening. Thank you to our community partners, Cindy Soto, Long Beach Forward, Mr. Itzen and our media services team as well, Dr. Brown. Just a powerful evening. Dr. Brown asked me earlier today, or shared same sentiments earlier today. I said, I'm still feeling good about it today. Let me pause there, Dr. Brown, if you want to add anything okay. The commitment from us was that this wouldn't be a one-off event and to continue those conversations. So I'm just sort of highlighting today that it's not a one-off event for us. Let me see what else we got here. Working backwards on the calendar. Safe passages. So we had a safe passage project kickoff in the Franklin neighborhood and community. So thank you to Days Long Beach, AOC 7, Long Beach Forward. We had a beautiful day of community building and the launching of a community ambassadors program that will positively impact our Whittier, Lincoln, and Franklin neighborhoods and communities. So big ups to everyone involved, including the city of Long Beach that day. Fortunate as you were, Ms. Craighead, to go to this last CAC meeting. So looking forward to hearing the recommendations. They had a little workshop there, but also there was an awards ceremony. So it was very touching as well. But you all know me. I'm like, okay, what are we going to get out of tonight? And so they had a legislative visit. A group of them went up to Sacramento to advocate on behalf of policies and legislation. Good reminder for us is to connect with our state legislators as well, right? Particularly when we talk about things like budget, state priorities, and local implications of those budgets and state policies and priorities. Hurry. Let me go. As I referenced earlier, I had an opportunity to speak at, was that yesterday or Results Day? Is today Wednesday, Tuesday? Was it Monday or yesterday? I think it was last night.
Let's just say it was last night.
Well, 196 new teachers. First year teachers, I think, was 90 something. Big props to the coaches from OCIPD, 32 coaches. Just big energy in the room. And so on behalf of our board and district, I just expressed gratitude first for the commitment of wanting to be a teacher. And for me, as I've always shared in these contexts, it's probably a really hard time, if not one of the hardest times, to be an educator. But that's precisely the reason why it's the best time to be an educator, because we see the impact that our teachers and educators have on students and children every day. And so it was a wonderful opportunity to also eavesdrop on what they're thinking at the end of their first year. So it was about 90. Big up to Rick. I think he said he baked 19 dozen cookies and shared them at the table with our teachers. So thank you to our teachers. Thank you for embarking on this journey with us. And I said, you're not in this alone. We have a whole community, a whole team. Our board, our executive team is all with you on this journey. And there were a lot of vulnerable moments that teachers were expressing about how even though they had everything, their lesson plan, double checked, triple checked, everything ready to go, first minute of class, realizing, yeah, this isn't going to go the way that we imagined it to go, and rolling with it, with grace, with empathy, building those relationships, establishing trust, and ensuring that all of our students succeed. So that's all for my report tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Otto.
So I attended the Prisk Pancake Breakfast a couple weeks ago, which was a lot of fun. It was a great turnout, and I got a lot of interaction time with the principal, who has got us coming back to do some other activities soon. I'm looking forward to graduation, which is not that far off. I'm going to be participating at Wilson, Sato, and Avalon. And I've been to Avalon before. They've told me that they're not going to spend 30 minutes talking about each individual graduate, so I can come home within a week. But it's always a very fun ceremony. And I agree with that we ought to be able to do something, whether it's remote messaging from people in Avalon if they've got things to say. And then finally, it hasn't been said yet today, but Wilson High School had a pretty nice turnout at the CIF track championships. And
who walked away with the championship? I forget the name of the school. Can you remind us?
They tied with Wilson. However, what you probably don't know is that my grandson, who was a sophomore, won the CIF 800-yard dash. Yeah. And he ran, as a sophomore, 152.2. And so he got good things going for him. And his brother, who is a junior, is in the Masters. They both are in the Masters meet this weekend in Moore Park before they go to state, and in the 4x800 relay. And they already have one of the best times in the nation about that. And by the way, the girls also had a tremendous thing. There's a 15-minute 562.org video about all the outcomes and how good everybody did in Long Beach. So,
if only they knew someone that was on the board that could highlight those things, Mr. Otto.
I've been thinking about how to do more of that.
Don't encourage him, because next he's going to have one of those like wallets and all the pictures fall out.
That's it.
Thank you. I would like to congratulate the YMCA because they held a groundbreaking ceremony for their new facility on Pacific. I think it's 2929 Pacific. So that's pretty exciting because we we both serve the same communities, and we have a wonderful partnership with YMCA. Let's see. Speaking of sports, I attended an e-sport championship at Millikan, and it was Millikan versus Poly. And so this, I know you're laughing, and I went into this thing going, I have to go because I have no idea what this is. And I'm thinking, this is a sporting event in an auditorium. They had broadcasters. They had the giant screen set up on the stage, which I'm not used to seeing a screen like that on the stage. That's not what the stage is for, as far as I'm concerned. But it was for that night. And it, I didn't grow up playing video games. When I was a kid, we had Pong. This is embarrassing, but I'm not even kidding you. I mean, I'm talking, right? Yes, that's exactly
Those
right.
graphics.
So I'm sitting there in the audience trying to figure out what's going on. It's all happening so fast, messing with my equilibrium. I'm older, don't laugh. And I'm trying to figure out, oh, right. But then once I caught on, this is the Millikan team. That's the Poly team, because it's moving. It's constantly moving. But once I figured out, then I was able to catch on to who's making the goals, when they're making them. It was the best out of 7. It was so exciting. So I spent the first part of the evening trying to figure out what was going on. And then I didn't want to leave because, Millikan was ahead, and then Poly caught up. And then in game 7, Millikan won. So it was, sorry, but it was so, it was exciting, and that was such a great night. And then I want to talk about last night was the spring fair at our. Sorry.
All of Poly go to the track meet.
Did Poly go to the track meet?
Yeah,
I'm not
left
sure.
Millikan, the event you were at to go to the track.
You're not going to let me just savor this Millikan moment. So last night.
What grade were you in when you were playing Pong, President Craighead?
So last night was the spring fair for the Long Beach School for Adults. This was a wonderful community event. It was outdoors. There was all kinds of food. There were vendors for food. There were representatives from places like Harbor College, different colleges, different opportunities for our School for Adult students. It's something we don't really talk about that often, and maybe we, as board members, we're not as familiar with School for Adults. But let me tell you, really wonderful things are going on. And this is a small community that the teachers who are teaching there are fully committed to what they're doing. They fully love what they're doing. They are providing opportunities for adults in English language skills. So they have so many people dedicated to learning English from all walks of life, from every, I was going to say grade level, this is adult, so from every level of life, I'll just say, and they are doing wonderful things at our School for Adults. So thank you to Nicole Lopez and her team, because everybody is so enthusiastic, and they invest so much of themselves in what they do. And then I wanted to mention that this Saturday there's a downtown plan community engagement event. So if you're interested in the planning for what's happening for future plans for the downtown area, that's at the Billie Jean King Library this Saturday from 11 to 1. I also want to mention that May is Jewish Heritage Month, and it is also the National Foster Care Month. And this year's theme is engaging youth, building supports, and strengthening opportunities. And one final thing. Congratulations to our Sato student, Maria, oh boy, I'm going to mess up her last name. Well, anyhow, Sato student Maria, I'm sorry?
Ignatensu.
That's it. For being named one of the 2024 Linked Learning Students of the Year by the Linked Learning Alliance. So congratulations to her.
Can I say one more thing? When you're done?
I'm sorry, your time's up. No, yes.
I want to say a thing too, then. You want to hop on too? No. One thing I forgot to talk about, but it is definitely as important as everything else I spoke to, the Black grad graduation, the celebration. It is this Sunday. I don't know if you had an opportunity to attend last year's, but no, I'm going to get a little Long Beach here. It was a time, okay? I had a great time. I think that it was just really well done by the district in regards to celebrating Black joy, giving these parents an opportunity to be in community and to really just highlight their child. It was great. And so obviously as our affirmations are growing, so do the venues. And so this year we're not at Jordan. We're at the Pyramid at CSULB, and so that's the doors open, I think, at 2 o'clock, and the graduation starts at 3, from 3 to 5:30. Like I said, at the Pyramid this Sunday. If you have an opportunity to come, I can guarantee you it will be a inspiring space. And so,
the acoustics in there too for graduations.
Oh yeah.
And you're absolutely right. It is quite the celebration.
Yes.
It is very celebratory. And thank you for remembering that. So, Dr. Baker.
Thank you. I'll close us out this evening with several affirmations and also just a couple of announcements. And I want to start by thanking the teams and students from both Browning and the staff from Grant that was here to share their stories with all of you. And just thinking about Dr. Madrigal's voice around stories behind data, and just loving the opportunity for us to sit in community with our students and with staff and really hear about their experiences in a way that doesn't easily get into a boardroom, but that is so valuable for all of us. And not that everything is easy. I loved hearing Ms. Villa's perspective about what is hard, and then the persistence that it takes for a teacher team to support each other through change. I've held the core values in front of me today, and the number of times that I have heard mention of things that connect to Vision 2035's core values has actually been really inspiring throughout the day. Centering student needs and voice, authentic community engagement and collaboration, culture of innovation and creativity, diversity and inclusion, environment that fosters connection, respect and safety, equity and social justice, excellence and accountability through continuous improvement, integrity and responsible leadership, and fostering joy and commitment. So it is wonderful to see us living into those core values and not just having them be something that our community envision, but that we are hearing more and more about living into those values. Speaking of the values, this week, the Family Leadership Institute that was led by our Equity Engagement and Partnerships Office that featured a very special person in our Long Beach Unified world, retired Colonel Consuelo Castillo Kickbush, who comes to us to both inspire, to guide parents in thinking about themselves as leaders in new ways so that they can go back into their school communities and work with their school teams to inspire other parents to be fully engaged and to lead change in their communities. And so just proud of that group. Consuelo has become a close friend. She came first as a speaker, and then for the last couple of years has been in different spaces, inspiring students and inspiring parents to be their best selves and to find themselves in leadership that is so important to the work that we are doing in the district. So just really proud of the parents who graduated yesterday from that program. Want to also acknowledge a group of our students who were selected as Youth Poet Laureates for the City of Long Beach for 2024, and just want to name them. Ajala Sen and Samantha Martinez from Poly High School, Ezekiel Correa from McBride High School, and Durrani Chim from Millikan High School. So they will serve as poet ambassadors alongside the 2024 Youth Poet Laureate representing our district and the City of Long Beach. So super, super proud of them. I too got to experience with the OCIPD staff the year 2 induction that was actually during Teacher Appreciation Week, as did several of us who are still in the room. And what a total inspiration to see year 2 teachers completing their induction and sharing their learning with one another, facilitated by many of our principals and other leaders from schools, as well as the Office of Curriculum Instruction and Professional Development. And to see them do that during Teacher Appreciation Week was just a wonderful opportunity. Dr. Brown spoke to them on behalf of the board and all of us, inspired them and thanked them for the very hard work that they do to become their best selves as teachers. There was an expression of deep gratitude for our classified employees, and thank you, Axel, for honoring all of our classified employees by reading the resolution. Super important for us to think about how much our classified employees contribute to classrooms being protected for learning and for schools being safe places and places where the community is welcomed in, as we saw in the presentation today. We also saw a video that was Vision in Action featuring our warehouse, and just hearing them speak to the commitment to ensuring that schools run smoothly and that they have everything that they need so that students can succeed in classrooms. I want to just express my personal deep gratitude and encourage. Next Friday, May 24th, we have our annual classified employee celebration that's held on the campus of our Teacher Resource Center. Really want to encourage school sites and departments to make sure that your classified employees get to come to that celebration. There's quite a window of opportunity for them to come play games. If they don't want to eat lunch, they can get a dessert, enjoy the company of others, and feel recognized. There's also the annual celebration of recognizing a classified employee who is selected by a committee, including other finalists that have represented the best of the best this year. And so I hope you all will be there, and I just want to encourage all of our departments to ensure that their classified employees get to attend. We've heard about our Black student graduation ceremony at the Pyramid, so wonderful. I will see you all there. And then lastly, Saturday is the annual Robo Bowl at McBride High School. So if you want to see what a Robo Bowl looks like, it starts, I think, at 9 o'clock, goes all day, ending with some very good, strong competition by the end of the day. So really fun experience to see our students involved in the Robo Bowl. And that concludes my report for tonight. Thank you for the good meeting today, for the good workshop session, and for the dialogue throughout this afternoon and this evening. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Well, that concludes our meeting for tonight. The next regularly scheduled meeting is June 5th, and without objection, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.